We're live right here on Freethought Forum in Knoxville. And if you want to get flexed up with us on Freethought Forum, go ahead and call us up at 865-215-2288. And before we begin with our show, I would like to ask any of the callers or any of the listeners or viewers out there, sometimes we get some comments about our audio being too loud or too low, or me just being sort of an idiot. Testing. So if you have any comments about our volume that you're noticing, please call in and let us know. We're here for you. This is a public service program. And again, this is the Freethought Forum Hour, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville. I'm Dan, and this is Dale. We want you to know that if you don't believe in God in East Tennessee, you are not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and unfettered by supernatural beliefs. Like this guy right here, Carl Sagan. He didn't believe in none of that supernatural nonsense, and neither should you. But first, we want to tell the viewers about our show sponsors. The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's in the Old City, starting at around 5:30. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. And as Matt Dillahunty at Atheist Experience says, everyone is welcome to our happy hour of food, drink, and conversation. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. The Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday, we hold the Skeptics Book Club. On the fourth Sunday, we mix it up. Sometimes with a get-together we call a reflections meeting. It features a potluck lunch in someone's home. Sometimes we meet to play board games, watch a movie, or similar activities. Just last week, we had a picnic for the National Day of Reason. And now, my co-host Dale with In the News.
In the news. In 24 hours, a man was scheduled for execution in Texas, quoting the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Jeffrey Wood and one co-defendant robbed a service station, murdering the white male attendant in the process. Now, that's not so much news. That's more like a Wednesday in Texas. But what is news is that scores of evangelical leaders petitioned Texas to spare his life. Now, since 1970, the National Association of Evangelists has stood in favor of legal executions. However, in 2015, they amended that stance to say that the Christian ethic could also be used to undergird or support opposition to capital punishment. Now, so the question is, why are they against this man's execution? Well, the fact of the matter is, he didn't kill anyone. The prosecution admits that Jeffrey Wood did not shoot Mr. Chris Crean and was not present, but outside in the truck. Wood is not totally clean. He admits having discussed a robbery with the store owner, Danny Deneau, but says he asked Renew not to bring a gun and did not carry one himself. Now, evangelists are not the only ones who are softening up on the death penalty. Mark Hyden is also heading a group, and this is a Republican group, a conservative group, who are pushing to get rid of the death penalty. Not so much that it's fair or that it's given to some classes of people unfairly, but his problem with it is that it is too expensive and it's not a deterrent to crime or to murder, which is what the anti-death penalty people have been saying all along. So all of my atheist friends who find themselves at odds with the evangelicals, give the devil his due. While they may spout a little nonsense about Noah and creationism, they can't stem the tides of progress. Not even the walls of the beloved death penalty is feeling the strain. Now, that news story is a little lead into something I was trying to start on this show, and that's the host 90-second rant. If regular viewers are not familiar with the 90-second rant, it's because we haven't done but one before. But I'm hoping it will catch on. And the object of this is for the host, one of the hosts, to give 90 seconds, 60 seconds on something that they have a pet peeve about. And today I'm giving this one.
So you're going to rant. You're going to give me 90 seconds because we're going to start the clock. And you got 90 seconds to tell us about the death penalty?
I wouldn't use the clock. Not the death penalty. It's
Oh,
about
okay.
something sort of related to the death
Okay.
penalty. It leads right into it. But there are a couple instances each. Okay, you can start. There are a couple instances each year where a death penalty pardon, as far as I'm concerned, should not be issued. I'm talking about the pardoning of turkeys. Now, you've all seen President Obama make a Pope-like gesture to pardon a couple of turkeys. It is now a tradition that each year the president doing that. I've been doing this for 30 years or so, 20 years. But it began with President Kennedy. Well, let you know where all this turkey pardoning came from, and I'm really upset about it. And what happened was the Turkey Association brings a turkey to President Kennedy, and they have a picture taking out in the Rose Garden, and apparently John must have been playing around or something, and the turkey has a sign on it that says something to the effect of, "Eat me." And I can imagine that the president did not want any uncomfortable conversation at the Thanksgiving table, so he said, "Let's let this one live." Note that it was not a pardon. Pardons did not happen until Reagan, and he was the one who said, "I'm going to pardon this turkey." Now, legally, this is ridiculous. Turkeys cannot commit a crime, cannot be found guilty of a capital offense, and therefore cannot be pardoned for anything. And think about the turkey's point of view. These birds are selectively bred, hatched, and fattened to the limits of their capacity. From November, from Thanksgiving, their average life expectancy is only about 8 months, with the average as short as 5. Now we're not talking about 8 happy months. They can't reproduce. They can't fly like regular turkeys. They can't do any of the things that regular turkeys do. And they're going to suffer for this time. Now, you may also be wondering why the turkeys are all white. Everything you need to know about pardoning turkeys. They are bred that way. And the reason they're bred that way is if you have a white turkey, they have these little pin feathers, and if it gets under the skin and you cook it and you can't get these pin feathers out, you don't want those little black spots. So that's why the turkeys are bred to be white. But we are actually cheating these poor birds out of their destiny. They should be destroyed at this time. I don't know how the PETA people will think about it, but to not do so is really the unkindest thing. Lastly, our country has at last begun to wrestle with ending the death penalty. So long after every civilization, every civilized nation has abolished it. This pardoning of turkey may have been funny the first time, a half century ago, but now it's an embarrassment. I expect now this is the good part, I expect the pro-death penalty people and the anti-death penalty people would both agree that this is a serious issue. I expect that they'll both want the trivialization of the death penalty in this regard to end. I wrote a letter to President Obama and have not received anything back.
So you are against the pardoning of turkeys. You would like those turkeys put to a proper death and served on our Thanksgiving trays.
The kindest thing to do.
The kindest thing to do.
Absolutely the kindest. It's like the schmooze. Remember the schmooze from Little Abner?
No.
The schmooze,
Sorry. Yes, I
were
do.
a creature. They look like a glob, and they just loved to be killed and cooked, or rather cooked. And then if they were fried, they taste like chicken. If they were boiled, they taste like boiled eggs, or if they were cooked over a barbecue, they tasted like barbecue. They were a versatile animal, and they just loved it. But I do not believe that these turkeys appreciate the remaining months they have.
I would like to take the opposite point of view here. I think all turkeys should be set free immediately because they're a far inferior bird. I mean, we've got better options out there. We've got beef, we've got pork, we've got cow, we've got bovine, we've got white and black farm animals.
Yeah.
They're all cows, I think.
Well, there are. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I like turkey.
Now you eat it, you get tired, you feel,
That's true.
you get sleepy, you get the tryptophan in there. I mean, it's an inferior bird. I'd rather have a chicken. I think all turkeys, I got your back. Sorry, Dale doesn't. Anyway, I would like to ask you specifically, though. I'm an atheist. I'm assuming you are as well, since you're on our program here. What would a traditional atheist, where would his point of view be on the death penalty? Like if you just took it from a ideal stance, like generally atheists think this about the death penalty.
Well, I don't know what all the atheists think. I'm a very pragmatic person, and I'm against it for the reasons that it's too expensive. The Republicans themselves are saying this now. They've got their own groups. To keep a person, to go through all the appeals and all the cost of conducting a trial all the way to the point where you get a death penalty is far more expensive than just keeping them in jail.
See, we've all heard that stat before, that it's more expensive to kill them, right?
It's also not a deterrent.
Okay, it's not a deterrent. But are you saying we should just keep murderers in jail forever until, I mean, how much is that costing us? It's costing us space, it's costing us a prison cell, it's costing us 3 hots and a cot, it's costing us all their medical, all those sort of things. And I'm just playing,
Devil's advocate.
No, I don't believe in him, but Google's advocate. But you know what I mean? And I don't know where I stand on the particularly. That's kind of why I'm asking. Our topic up here is gun control, and I also don't know where I stand on that. And I would kind of like to suss that out.
They didn't change that.
Yeah, they didn't change that, but that's okay. We can talk about gun control. We can talk about the death penalty. We can talk about whatever we want. It's our show.
Okay.
I'm just curious, economics aside, philosophically.
Okay, philosophically. Philosophy, something that I'm not very good at, but we want to do what to them if they commit murder or one of these heinous offenses? We want them dead.
Well, we want them out of society.
We want them removed.
We want them. We said you can't play nicely. You shoot people. Okay. You do whatever. Sorry.
If you're simply removing them like a rabid dog, I have no problem with that.
That seems to be what we're trying to do.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's the death penalty. It's the punishment of death is what the death penalty is.
Okay.
And believe me, death is not a punishment. Everyone's going to die. So the idea that if they die a few years sooner is a punishment. Well, it's not a punishment to them. They're dead and they don't know anything's going on. It's a punishment probably to their family.
Well, if you don't think it's a punishment for the years leading up to their death, I mean, knowing your impending doom is 3 years away, this date and time, and that's kind of punishment.
Well, that is punishment, but if you're going to do that, well, the Supreme Court might have something to say about cruel and inhuman punishment. That is, if you're trying to keep them in jail in order to make them suffer before their
but I'm saying with the appeals process and all these things, knowing that I'm slated to die.
Right, you're arguing for my side right now.
I'm not sure which side I'm arguing for. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, well, if you're really wanting to do punishment, what you'd probably want to do is waterboard the person. Right. Waterboard them until they pass out, until they die, and then resuscitate them.
Right.
For example, Tim McVeigh, 250-something people died, a few dozen children died, or a dozen children, and what did we do? Death penalty. Put him to sleep.
Pretty quickly as well. I don't think that took very long.
That was no punishment. If you really wanted to punish him, you would
suffocate him
and revive him 250-something times. But so this is not a punishment.
Okay. And I agree with you. We have laws against murder. People still murder. We have laws against rape. People still rape. Mm-hmm. Laws do not deter you from doing something.
No.
So then what are we doing with our criminal system, with our criminal justice system? Did Timothy McVeigh, could we have rehabilitated him and brought him back into society?
I think the alternative that most people accept for the death penalty when they have done such a horrible thing is the substitute would be life in prison. You're in prison for the rest of your life, and that's all there is to it. And that way, our society doesn't have to worry about the good people out here in television land don't have to worry that our government is killing someone, and in effect, their name is the citizen's name being signed at the bottom of that death sentence. So that's the problem. I don't even might well talk to the Catholic Church. They have something to say about it too.
Well, it's here.
Well, no, I meant the rest of the civilized world is pretty much against the death penalty too, and it's been working for them. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to escape the death penalty, one good way of after you've murdered whoever you want to murder, one good way of doing that is running away to Canada, France, England, one of these places that do not have the death penalty, because they won't extradite you back to this country if you're facing a death penalty.
Because the Canadians do not agree with the death penalty. If you're facing it, they will not send you back here to face it.
Right.
Okay, that's the extradition process in a nutshell. It's just like ethically, I feel like, who are we to take life, right? That's kind of where I start from as an atheist.
Well, it sets a bad example, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Don't kill people. Here, I'm going to
Right.
kill you so that you won't kill people. It's like a vicious circle.
Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's the way it's developed. Well, how many of our I do not look that up. How many of our states now do not have the death penalty? New York, I know, is one. Florida and Texas, I think they still have it.
Texas?
Yeah.
I think that's their number one. I think it's on the state flag.
Yeah, well,
Death
in
penalty.
Texas, pardons are a really rare thing. I do recall President Bush pardoning some turkeys. President W. Bush pardoning some turkeys.
We're kind of making light of the show that is the pardoning, but
Well,
do they actually get pardoned? Do these turkeys actually not die?
No, they do not die. They go to a farm. They go to a place where they're expected to live out the rest of their years, when their years are only going to be a couple months. And it's basically a petting zoo. So, they've got they wobble around until their poor little bones can't support that weight any longer as they start to age and their organs start to fail. Probably very miserable.
You know what? I changed my stance. I'm back on no pardoning the turkeys. Let them die. Let them die. It's the humane thing to do.
I'm afraid it is, and it's a
Well, if we fatten them up for this purpose to then not have them fulfill their destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things going on in America now that tend to make us a laughingstock of the world. And this has to be one of them. I mean, if they start paying attention to what we're doing.
Well, we got a couple other things that make us a laughingstock in the world. One of them's running for a GOP presidential nominee, but we won't get into that.
Actually, speaking of that, I mean, we're not supposed to mention one way or the other, but I was going to write a new letter to the incoming president, and I'm just going to make it a form letter.
Okay.
Dear Mr.
/ Mrs.
/ Mrs. President, and
Right.
then either.
Fill it in from there?
Fill it in from there.
Yeah, well, I think you should send that letter, and we'll see if we get a response.
There you go.
If you'd like to join in on this hot gun control, death penalty topic, give us a call at 865-215-2288. We're actually going to turn the topic over to something else, but feel free to call in on gun control. It's called demons. We have the topic of demons to get into, and we're this book right here, Carl Sagan's It's glaring on it. The Demon Haunted World. Dale and I were feverishly outside in the parking lot reading through this. We completed it all in under 15 minutes. So we're going to get into a little bit of the discussion on demons.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a problem there with the subject.
That's all right.
And we're having a couple of technical problems, and they are my fault.
No, they're not. They're no one's fault.
Anyway, today's show actually has been prepared on demons. Now, when the Freethought Forum most frequently delves into the question about humanity's gods, which confuses some of our viewers. Occasionally, as a matter of fact, many times callers have called in and asked, why do you atheists worship Satan? And I need to state at the top of the show, atheists do not worship Satan.
We can't.
No, we can't.
It's not real.
But any way that comes up, if they feel like if you're not worshiping a god, then you must be worshiping something lower. I believe that's what the process of the thoughts. And so they do ask, why do you worship Satan? Well, now atheists, we don't have demons to worship, but the demons we are most familiar with in our society are the Christian ones. Now, according to the Christian legend, demons were formerly angels. And interestingly enough, we don't know when God created angels, so we don't know if maybe demons were created sometimes before let there be light.
You said the angels were or the demons are fallen angels, correct? Well, we know Lucifer was the first fallen angel.
Supposedly, he took some of his posse with him. I mean,
right.
See, you're up in heaven,
right? No.
And supposedly a third of the demons said,
"We're going with this guy."
Or so a third of the angels said, "Yeah, we're going to go with him." So, God won by a 66% on that vote. Not a real good vote of confidence. So those demons were thrust out of.
You think they have an electoral college up there, or it's just straight?
I don't know. It's probably I would say it's a.
Like over here on Cloud 9, we're voting for Lucifer.
Oh well, they may have
worth 2 electoral votes.
So, but it appears as though demons are a new. Now, when you look at the Bible, demons are a New Testament invention. You do not have demons
really
in the Old Testament.
I've read the Old Testament, and I can't recall you. Yeah, I guess you're right.
You have Satan.
Yes.
Now he's in there, and he's not exactly we're not really sure if you read it literally whether Satan was actually a bad guy in there or not.
Unclear, because God seemed to kill far more people than Satan did.
Yeah.
Into the millions. Oh wait, the whole world population. Well, anyway,
yeah.
Unclear who the bad one was.
Yeah, but so then there's not any in the Old Testament. But then you get to the New Testament, and the first 4 books of the Old Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, demons galore. I mean, there are demons in pigs.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
thousands of demons in a couple of guys. Mary has demons in her. John is, Jesus asked John if he had a demon in him. There were demons that you fall down and have an epileptic fit.
That's just good science right there. I mean,
demons.
You start coughing, I'm going to cut you open, bloodlet you, because you might have a demon in you. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, anyway, after the Gospels, you've got the other 72 books, 27 books of the 23 books of the Bible.
27 New Testament, 4 Gospels, 23.
Got it. And in that section of the Bible, no demons. No unclean spirits. Nobody's possessed. Nobody is.
What about Revelation?
Well,
that's a separate. That's
devil is mentioned in Revelation. Devil is mentioned, but this is regarding a particular individual. There are no unclean spirits. There's no demons running around at all. So it's a really peculiar idea. Why did demons pop up just in those 4 books?
Well, I mean, I've asked this of Christians before. I said, why do demons show up? And it's our rejection of the Lord, right? That's why there is evil. We've brought them out. It's our fault. That's what I was told.
Well, I would wonder. Yeah, but I was meaning in the writing of the Bible itself,
right.
Why they're here, but they're not here and they're not there.
Oh, I got you.
But I haven't heard the idea that we create our own demons.
Well,
but, I mean, we've heard that phrase before. He's hooked on heroin, demons. Oh
yeah,
my gosh!
Yeah, that's some scary demons back there. I look awesome right now. That's
so
a great graphic.
What we've come up with is after all these demons get into our culture, it becomes a demon-haunted world, and that's probably probably should be a little bit smaller to fit the screen, but that's a lithograph of a devil there or a demon.
That's just my photo blown up, actually. I had my ears trimmed earlier today.
But I would like to mention why there might be a reason for there are no demons in the Old Testament. Now, the Jewish culture does, the legends and mythology and all that do have demons, but they're not in the Old Testament. And I believe the reason might be because Moses was copying or anti-copying the Egyptians. So anti-copying. Whatever they had, Moses forbade it.
Oh, okay.
He did the absolutely opposite. So that's probably where the influence came in for no demons. And if the bad creatures that are mentioned are simply the gods of other people, they're not actual demons. So, and in the New Testament, why they disappear, I don't know. Maybe the 72 apostles that Jesus trained to exorcise demons out of people, maybe it worked. I don't
I'm glad
know.
you brought that up, actually, exorcists. I was raised Catholic, and I will tell you, I did not really believe in God. I mean, I guess I did, but I believed in the devil intently. And I saw The Exorcist when I was maybe 12 or something. Ruined my sixth grade year, that's for sure. Like, under the bed, door, like, that was a scary movie. And to me, based on the reality of which I was brainwashed to believe, which was, hey, I mean, the God's real, the devil's real, and sure, he can go into you. Like, better watch out. That was what I was taught. That's freaking crazy.
Well, you were raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Well, you were raised with a demons were all around you.
They were, and they scared me.
If you went to the Catholic Church,
that scared me too.
do you recall seeing any demons on the building?
No, it was no. I mean,
Well, if you go to any of the cathedrals in our major cities that are in New York,
you mean like in like the windows or like the stained glass or
outside?
You mean like
Gargoyles.
Oh no, not at my church, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, in a lot of the older churches, they would put gargoyles on the outside of the church.
That
does
serve TV show as well.
Serve the function of moving water around, but also it was the Catholics' acknowledgement, Catholic Church's acknowledgement that evil spirits do exist because they were put there supposedly to frighten off any evil spirits from coming into them.
Well, okay. So you say, why is there some demons here, not demons here? I mean, so the Bible was written to manipulate people. Am I wrong about that? I mean, it was written as a means of control, or a means of explanation, or as a combination of, and to say that
there was many different writers. I don't know what either of what their individual purposes were.
But my point is, if you were trying to manipulate a culture and you wanted them to not do something, and you wanted them to, something that maybe was dangerous, you would say, if this happens, the demon will get you, or something, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't eat pork or whatever.
The boogeyman will get you.
Right. And so I don't know why they didn't show up until the New Testament, but it seems like if we're making up stuff to say why good things happen, then we should certainly make up stuff to say why bad things happen.
Well, yeah, and I thought with the atheist idea, I mean, it might want to approach. We have people we talk to who are Christian. They also not only do they believe in God, you don't, but they believe in demons. So it may be another avenue of discussion. Mm-hmm. But when it came to later on, the demons started going berserk with it, and a lot of it was from the Catholic Church, much from the Protestants. But St. Augustine lamented that there was an increasing incidence of incubi having sex with women in their sleep and spawning devil babies. I assume spawning devil babies. Also, King James.
Well, why do they got to be devil babies? They might be good.
Well, if they've got a demon father, I assume that what it would be.
Yeah, but
King James, the one whose name is on the cover of the King James Bible, he wrote an essay entitled Demonology, which he describes the different techniques by which the devil uses to impregnate women, and such things as stealing sperm from dead men to stealing sperm from live men in their dreams.
Okay, hold on, I got to stop you. Now, are you saying that
they carry it to
there's actual accounts of this?
No. What I'm saying is that King James wrote a essay describing how it was happening. I see. This is sometime around the time he got interested in literature and was the original. He owns the copyright or whatever to the Bible. But the history of demons is inexhaustible. As a matter of fact, what about today? If Facebook is to be believed, we have a Church of Satan right down there on 17th Street. This is called a Church of Satan with Satan head and all of that. And if I'm not mistaken, even the Freethought show did a show on the Satanic Temple.
We did. I interviewed that young man who was excellent.
Which is headquartered in New York. And there's as a matter of fact, research it, there's a dozen or so different Satan-related churches, which is, you know, like the Baptists, they have their different whatever, maybe that's similar. But
to your point we were discussing earlier, the Satanic Temple has nothing to do with demons. They're simply using that as the ultimate icon of, like you said, anti-copying. They're right. That's just the Satanic Temple's whole mission is to anti-copy the actual Christians.
I'm not too sure I know that much about them. I did watch the show and I heard a lot of the stuff he was saying, but it appears to me as regarding Satanists, there are no Satan groups going out anywhere, and there are no churches going out sacrificing people or something along those lines. But if you're wanting to get attention to your group, that's one way to do it. I know for sure that he said that although they were using a word from the Bible, had nothing to do with the Bible. Do you know how to work that?
I do know how to work this. We have a caller, and we're going to go to that call right now. You're on Freethought Forum with Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers, right here on Freethought Forum, ctvknox.org. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Okay, well, hey, this is Faithless Forrest, and I've been watching the show and listening to you, and I saw the slide go up, and it took me a while to figure out what that background was, and I simply had to share it with you. It looked to me like you had Mount Rushmore or some illustration of it over that person who was, I guess, being exorcised of demons, but it had me wondering what Mount Rushmore had to do with this. So is there a story there for either Chip or Dale about that artwork?
Well, this is a painting by Francisco Goya, and the person he's depicting here is Francis. Oh, what was those really, really bad popes?
All of them. Popes 1 through the present.
No, the ones that were really, really bad back in. I forgot his last name now. Maybe I'll find it here in a second. Well, his first name is Francis. I want to say Piaget, but I know that's not correct. But this is a real person that he's done a painting of, who is supposedly doing exorcisms back in like 1650, 15 something rather.
Okay.
So he's showing that this lady here who looks dead on her bed is being surrounded by all these demons, and that's what's coming out.
So I have a question for both you two. There have been accounts of exorcisms, and we know that it could not have been a demon possessing someone. So what exactly were these accounts?
Baloney comes to mind.
But, I mean, in this photo we say, I mean, who's to say that this woman wasn't in the throes of something and this preacher was doing whatever? Have we ever had, like, a medical explanation?
There have been a lot of psychiatrists attempts.
There are numerous medical conditions that cause things like hallucination or seizures. And, in fact, strokes were once called, oh goodness, the name escapes me, but it's something like, the divine disease. In fact, the word stroke means literally someone who has been knocked down as if by the hand of God. That's what the word stroke means. And we, of course, know that strokes are usually the result of some sort of obstruction of blood to a portion of the brain.
So, I mean, obviously, back before we had a lot of advancements in medical science, we see someone who's suffering a stroke and we think, oh my gosh, they must have some sort of disease. I'm assuming all these people died. There was never a successful exorcism.
The example of a stroke is one kind, and whereas seizures, which are often, people who are unfortunately subject to that, that'll happen many times in their lives. I think, for instance, Julius Caesar was affected with seizures.
He was.
And there were times when there was a significance attached to that, as if it was that they were receiving something from the divine world. And so, what these are responses to things that happen in the real world that get misinterpreted and misconstrued by, people's religious ideas.
Well, I'm not too sure
and
about
that's why, I misinterpreted see Mount Rushmore there.
I'm not too sure if they how active their office is now, but the Catholic Church used to have a, well, you know about that.
Yeah.
That's what was in the movie, exorcists.
Look, wing.
And that's what what the person's doing here. So they actually had that office for a long time. But we do have exorcism going on now in Africa and other places like that, where it's just you can see some of these acting.
Right.
It's just so amateurish.
Forrest, I got to tell you though, if you're ever looking at a photo and you happen to see Mount Rushmore and my face is on it, we got a lot of problems. We got a lot of problems.
Alrighty.
Something's gone wrong. If I'm in charge.
Let me clear the line, and
Thank you
we
for
hope
calling.
that some more people will call in about your interesting topic. Bye now.
You can call in at 865-215-2288. You're listening to Freethought Forum with No Longer Catholic Dan and my friend Dale here, and we are discussing demons. But we're open lines. If you have any question about atheism, skepticism, any sort of religious-related topic, or you just want to say that, hey, there's two good-looking guys on the screen, go ahead and call us in and let us know. 865-215-2288. We're here every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. on ctvknox.org, and that is channel 13, possibly 14, and possibly 193, depending on your cable service provider. In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Knoxville Community Access, Channel Television 12, or Channel 194, I'll just say it again, depending on your local cable network. Tell your out-of-town friends to see us streaming at ctvknox.org. Today's show is live on August 23rd, and you can call in on the number on the screen and speak with us. While we take a short break, please watch these informative videos about our sponsors.
If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org.
Rationalists of East Tennessee are organizing a secular alternative to a religious retreat. We don't retreat, we advance. This two-day event is September 3rd and 4th, which is the Saturday and Sunday of Labor Day weekend. Out-of-town participants can then have Monday off to explore the Great Smoky Mountains and other attractions of the beautiful area. The advanced location is Tremont Lodge and Resort in Townsend, Tennessee. Visit our website at rationalists.org. That's rationalists.org to find out more and to register. We have some information on the speakers at the advance and their bios we would like to share. Dale?
We have, there's many different speakers. We have a John D. Webster, who's the author of 5 books, and one of the most impressive titles I've seen, 10 Decisions That I Could Have Made Better Than God.
I read that book. It's a great book. Pick up
Yeah.
John Webster's book, 10 Decisions I Could Have Made Better Than God. It's
Well,
awesome.
anyone reading the Bible would go, that's a, you know.
It's funny, too.
And also, Osama Albani who has a PhD in theoretical physics will be there. So if you're maybe wanting a skinny on how we're doing with developing time control.
He knows all sorts of things about physics. I would pick his brain forever. It's like, hey, explain quantum whatever. And he's like, oh, I can do that. I'm like, what?
I think he
I just
would.
made that up.
Thank you. I think he would. Also, we've got Patrick Horst, who now this person speaks, what is this, like 8 languages? And his background is in Mennonite and Amish, and he's there to share. He was a former missionary, been in the active duty, U.S. Army. We got Herb Silverman, who challenged the brought a suit to the Supreme Court about South Carolina's religious activities, or not letting people get in office without religiousness and the proper faith. We have Alita Ledendecker who's going to show us about the RET in our area, and Matt Dillahunty, who is mentioned virtually every show.
Matt Dillahunty's going to be here?
We mentioned him every show.
You got to go. September 3rd and 4th. It's Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Matt Dillahunty's going to be there. If you're an atheist, you know who that is. You got to be there. We have a phone call we'd like to take. You were on Freethought Forum with Dan and Dale. May I ask who's calling?
This is Dr. Paul Simpek.
Dr. Paul Simpek. Have you called before?
This is my second time calling, yes.
Awesome. Where are you located?
I'm located in Portland, Oregon.
Portland,
Oh,
Oregon. I was just up
gosh.
there, I think.
What did you think of our town?
Man, it was pretty cool. It's a weird little town. Portland, Oregon.
I've seen the show Portlandia, but other than
It's
that,
exactly like that.
It's
Fred
very
Armisen
close
is
to being
everywhere.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Doctor, you have a question for us today?
I just kind of had a topic to bring up, and that was, I believe you're talking about demons today, correct?
yes.
Well, I, as a child, watched a lot of old movies like The Omen or The Exorcist about real-life demons. And I was wondering, there was always rumors that those were based on true stories. And not even rumors. I feel like in some of those movies it even says based on true stories. Do you think there's any truth to those stories? And if not, how does the rumor like that get spread so widely and so well believed?
Well, it's funny you should bring that topic up because we were just speaking somewhat on that topic about exorcism, and I brought up the same thing. I had watched a bunch of probably the same movies, The Omen, The Exorcist, and they freaked me out because, as you probably know, I was raised Catholic, and to me, that was real. And so all you need is that ounce of doubt where it's like based on a true story, and then the rumors will spin off from there. Where you hear, so I remember hearing something about a hospital in my town of St. Louis, where there was one where The Exorcist took place. Now I don't know if that was true or not, but supposedly the movie Exorcist was based on something that happened at St. Louis University Hospital.
And we all know how very, very strict Hollywood is on getting all of the information exactly right.
That's true. That's true. So it's a lot of just movie lore.
If it says it's based on a true story, it's probably got like 5% of the true story.
Okay.
There have been exorcisms. Otherwise there wouldn't be paintings on it, I suppose.
Tell me about Portland. What is it? What's the culture like up there? Do you think people believe in demons up there?
I don't think people believe in demons, and in fact, I think we have got to be one of the most secular cities in America. Everybody is there are a lot of atheists out here.
Well, you need to tell them to listen to our show because we need some more fans up there. ctvknox.org.
How did you come to find us?
Oh, just poking around the internet.
Really? Well, I hope there's more people. Do some more poking.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, I'll try to spread the word. My
That didn't come
second
out
thought,
right.
and I'll leave you with this, is have either of you two seen the movie Sausage Party?
No, I haven't seen it.
No.
You must see it and discuss it on your show. It applies heavily to your show and atheism.
All right.
So pretty much, yeah.
We will do that.
All right, we will.
Thank you, Dr. whatever, Simpek. Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling.
All right. Sausage Party, I guess I'll have to check that out next week, and we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, but he's right. A lot of these, it just really gives a movie legs. If you say, "Oh, this actually happened." I went to a movie that supposedly it was a haunting that had happened in Tennessee, and I left after about 15 or 20 minutes because I knew it was just total garbage. Hollywood is not going to give you that sort of thing. If you're going to have anybody investigate something like a possession or an exorcism or something like that, it should be medical personnel, not a priest inside somebody's bedroom throwing water.
And what I wanted to bring up about, he made a good point where, it was you said, there's an ounce of validity, right? There's really that location or whatever. It might, some event may have happened, some credibility, some kernel of truth, which is the problem.
Something that they couldn't explain at the time.
Yeah.
Well, we've got these shows on now, Ghost Hunters. We're inundated with ghost hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And often they go, we don't know what's going on, but something's going on.
It's amazing that they never find a ghost.
Well, they're left to speculate about it. But as he's saying,
we should just watch Ghostbusters.
People start to believe this sort of stuff, and as where we are today is what I'm leading up to now, and that is, where are we today as far as demons go? And that's the thing I was wanting to touch on briefly, at least. When I was a kid, we had a parking area out in the woods where people drive their cars out there and go parking and all that. Well, somebody got the bright idea to put up some feathers and some junk and make it bones and make it look some dead cow and make it look like there's something satanic going on. Well, it just went all over town that there was a satanic whatever in town, and there wasn't. There was a BBC investigator investigated a lot of these satanic ritualistic clubs in America, and was trying to find any evidence of human sacrificing or anything like that, because it was going all over the place, and found absolutely nothing. We had when I was a kid, we had a guy named John Todd, who was a Christian who felt that the Satanists were out to get him, and he wanted people to send him money. He wanted to set up a compound so people could come and hide from the Satanists, and he wanted people to send him guns. Now, he didn't want just any guns. He wanted, the Glocks or whatever they had at that time, the pump shotguns and so forth and so on. So, but this guy got a lot of donations and all, because this stuff actually sells. And I'm sure that the movie people know that this stuff sells. And one instance that sort of highlights it is what happened in California in 1985 or something, or around that time. There was the McMartin preschool trial, and this was where a lady accused her husband and the head of the Martin preschool of having sex with her son. So they had him arrested. Well, then some psychologists or some counselors got involved, and I don't know how it happened, but they started interviewing the children, these people, and what they did was they were leading the children
Now I remember
on.
this case. Now I remember this case that
And
you were talking
all
about
of a
earlier.
sudden, we had stories with, the principal, he was out flying around one day. We're wearing, capes and all. What is it? We were molested. That they had sexual encounters with animals. That they had, there were secret tunnels going here and out there from the school. There was and it got more and more bizarre as it went on. Well, the trial had a life of its own, and it lasted for 3 years. There were appeals and all, or retrials, and they found that there was absolutely nothing going on. But by the fact that they brought up this Satanist and this demon worship and all of that, it just took on a life of its own. And because of that trial, a lot of cases now are really looking at how you do the interview with a child. You don't say...
Oh, you
now,
can lead a witness very easily,
well,
especially a 4-year-old.
You ask a child 5 times, has he ever gone to the moon? Ask him the next day, have you ever been to the moon?
Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember last
About
week.
the 5th time was, I went with George.
There was moon rocks and spacemen.
There was human sacrifices. They were testifying to all different kinds of things, and supposedly there were photographs with the children with their clothes taken off. There was none. But what happened was after the arrest and after it started getting on, they sent letters to all the parents saying something to the effect of, "We've arrested some of the teachers at your school. If your son or daughter has been acting strange or has any strange marks on them or is saying anything odd, please fill out this form and mail it back to them. So they had a SCAD of stuff to investigate. It was I believe it was the most expensive trial that California has ever had to pay for. It was like $15 million, and it lasted for 3 years. And in the end,
Tax money well spent.
in the end, found that there was nothing going on. So this is how.
Shocking.
This is how this stuff can get started, and even today, we can be affected by this kind of junk. You mentioned our presidential contest that's going on.
I did.
Well, Lucifer and Satan has made an appearance there too. If the politics that we've been seeing this last year is what we have to look forward to, we can look forward to more of this. John Bonner called Ted Cruz Lucifer in the flesh. Ben Carson questioned Clinton's connections to Satan. At least that's being reported.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to demonizing your opponent, this is it.
Mm-hmm. Literally demonizing your opponent.
Literally demonizing your opponent, yeah.
One of the problems, I think, that the reason it takes on a life of its own is because of that kernel of truth that may lie within there. And it's one of the problems that we, as atheists, we have to debunk constantly with the Bible, where people will say, well, what do you mean? There was actually a place called this. There's a few very scant references to actual historical evidence. And to then say that makes the book credible is unbelievable, right? It's completely...
Because something in it is true.
Because something in it is true.
Well, regarding the McMartin School, one of the things that kept being repeated was, why would a child lie? And so that was about as far as it went as far as asking if it was a lie. But I've heard it said many times, if you're going to tell a lie, you got two ways of going about it. You can dress it in the luxurious cloak of veracity, meaning put a lot of truth in there along with your lie, or this is not one that normal people practice. And that if you're going to tell a lie, tell the absolute biggest one that you possibly can, and people will buy it. People will have more of a tendency to believe the big lie than the little one. As weapons of mass destruction is all over.
Well, I thought we found those.
Oh yeah. Well, but if you want somebody to believe a lie, tell a great big one.
That's how I know that there's like conspiracies are bunk. Like if we wanted to make it look like there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, we could have easily gone out to the desert, dug a hole, dumped some in there, and said, "Oh, look what we found." We couldn't even pull that off.
That's true.
That's where our American government is capable of.
Well, it sparks a big interest in us. As a matter of fact, one of the most popular radio hosts now in
Knoxville is me
Knoxville.
on Saturday afternoons, 2 to...
is I don't want to name him, but what he has is he's saying that there's a lot of Satanists in our government, that they go out to a place called Bohemian Grove, and they're members of the Illuminati, and as a matter of fact, I just looked at one of his posts just recently on his website, and he thinks that Judge Scalia was somehow, his death had something to do with the Bohemian Grove type people. Now, do you know who Bohemian Grove is?
Well, that's wrong because Obama paid an assassin to have Scalia killed. That's what I learned from, what's his name, Jones. Black helicopters! Alex Jones. Black helicopters. Blah.
Well, he's certainly got some creative ideas, and so many of them that you can't ignore them. There's some truth in there somewhere, and like I say, wrap it in a cloak of veracity.
That's why when Hulk Hogan says that he slammed Andre the Giant, it was 800 pounds instead of 250 pounds. He says it was, in front of 100,000 people. We got another phone call we're going to go to. You're on Freethought Forum. May I have a name?
This is Chuck.
Chuck. Nice to meet you, Chuck.
I always associated exorcism with the Catholic Church, and I was really shocked to find out that there are Baptists who also practice exorcism.
He's right.
Matt Taibbi, an investigative reporter for his Rolling Stone, Mother Jones,